Welcome back to the show. I'm Max Keiser with my guests, Jacques Attali and Carrie Quinlan. You know, it wasn't just the stock market that devastated investor wealth around the world in 2008. There was pyramid fraud in Colombia, a Ponzi scheme on Wall Street, and in Iceland, the entire banking system imploded. Now, in Colombia, the collapse of a nationwide pyramid fraud run by investment groups with such names as Easy Money, Fast Cash saw thousands pour out onto the streets in protest. A few weeks later, in the United States, famed investor Bernard Madoff, the former chairman of the NASDAQ, admitted to operating a $50 billion giant, quote, Ponzi scheme. And finally, in Iceland, citizens stormed the central bank as life savings were wiped out when the nation's banks went bust after incurring liabilities 10 times the GDP of the country. Stacy, how did investors respond to all this?
Well, as you see here, this is in Colombia once this fast and easy money pyramid scheme imploded. $270 million lost in this town of Popayan. As you see, there were huge protests. Here's Bernard Madoff. When the FBI approached him to ask for an explanation, he said, "There is no innocent explanation." And this is the people of Iceland storming their central bank on December 1st. They were angry with the handling of the crisis, the collapse of their banks. Have you ever participated in a riot or a pyramid scheme?
Do you know, I very nearly did once participate in a pyramid scheme.
Did you have your clothes on?
It was on the internet, so I didn't have to. It was fine. But I quite like the idea of a pyramid scheme. It sounds fun, doesn't it? It sounds like, you know, one of the 8 wonders of the financial world.
All right, so it's like the Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
The Hanging Gardens of hedge funds. The Hanging Hedge Funds of Babylon. There you go.
Hanging Hedge Funds of Babylon, the 8th wonder of cyber financial world.
Perfect.
You're up for that?
Yeah, totally.
Jacques, this is becoming, on the street level, very much a violent crisis. So the idea is, can we stop the depression from happening? For these people, it's happening right now.
First, it is very important to realize that it was quite easy to forecast. And I was not the only one to forecast this crisis 2 years ago. It was easy to see that the amount of the debt of the US economies was 350% of the American GDP, while in 29 it was only 200%. Then this amount of debt couldn't go without a crisis. Leveraging, deleveraging. And today there is no question about it. You need to deleverage. That means you need to reduce the debt. It's exactly like someone having taken too much drug. He has to go through a cure, and we have to live through that cure for a while.
It appears as though the bailout money that they're pouring in to deleverage these bankers is not really having an effect.
It's not deleveraging.
Where is it going, this money?
It's just transferring the private debt to the public debt. It's transferring the debt of the wealthy financiers to the tax that are going to be paid by the poor wage earners. That's exactly what is happening today.
The use of the term Ponzi scheme, which is basically new investors paying off current investors, can you say the same thing about other government functions? In particular in the U.S., the American Social Security system, on the surface anyway, looks like a giant Ponzi scheme.
No, it is financed. It's not financed by the other investor in the U.S. It's financed by the foreigners. Why by the foreigners? Because foreigners understand or believe that there is no safe haven as safe as the U.S. financial market.
Is that true?
Yes, as long as they believe it, it's true.
As long as they believe it?
Yeah.
And what might shake that belief?
It's exactly what happened with the subprime. At a certain moment, people stopped to believe that it was a safe market. And then it's just a pin in the bubble, and then everything burst out. That may happen one day. When? Nobody knows, but it will happen. If we don't have soft landing, it will happen.
This is, in fact, the Oracle. And the Oracle is all-knowing and all-seeing. The Oracle will make a prediction. Yes? I'm getting something from the Oracle, Stacy. It's saying that the Oracle is predicting that at least one of Madoff's so-called sophisticated investors will be selling apples in New York City by 2010. The Oracle is also predicting that the Forbes billionaire list will fall from 1,062 to 720 in the year 2009. So that Forbes billionaire list slashed.
That's a deflation in billionaires.
Oh, poor billionaires.
Ouch! Oh, it's tough being a billionaire these days.
It really is.
Well, let's move on to our last topic. Private equity group, Terra Firma, owned by karaoke-loving Guy Hands, bought EMI along with Citigroup. In August of 2007, the two groups bought record label EMI for £4 billion. Stacey, how has the deal gone?
Well, if you listen to this interview,
It's very simple. Both Citigroup and ourselves were about 2 months too late. It was incredibly unfortunate timing. Some people would say bad timing, but the reality is if either Citigroup or ourselves could have guessed where the markets were going to head, we would be geniuses and have made a fortune.
Oh, that's great. So he's got 20/20 hindsight, the karaoke-loving Guy Hands.
that's right.
He's hanging out with Mick Jagger. No. He has a lot of protection now, doesn't he?
Citigroup has been bailed out by the U.S. taxpayer to the tune of $55 billion cash and $306 billion guarantee of their debt. So effectively, the U.S. taxpayer owns a chunk of EMI.
That's good news, even if EMI is going to be a chunk of nothing.
That's good news. But, Jacques, I take it you don't pay taxes in the United States.
In France.
If the French government owned a piece of EMI, would that be good news?
I think it would be a very bad decision to do that.
I see.
And you know what his expectations were?
What?
If you listen to this.
In terms of returns, one would normally be aiming for making around 3 times one's money on one's investment. I think in this environment, one's looking to make about 1.5 times one's money to 2 times one's money.
It's silly. At a moment where the real growth of the world GDP is only 5%, nobody can make more than 5% on the long term. And if these people made 100%, that means that they take money out of who? The poor and the wage earners, especially in music, which is a dying industry. It's like buying the Titanic after the accident.
Well, it's outrageous that they say, well, 300% maybe is not doable, but 150% we think we can do. That's absurd.
That's obscene.
That's still many, many, many times the growth rate, as you point out, and it's probably impossible.
It's not only impossible, it's possible if you steal the money to the rest of the people working, and it's mainly impossible in music at a moment where music is becoming free because of peer-to-peer, and when this industry will die because people will not anymore consider that as a relevant business model.
Carrie, you're in the entertainment industry, peer-to-peer, file swapping.
I do it all the time.
I don't think that was the question, but I'm very interested to hear about this. Speak more on this. No, I mean, but as a professional in the industry, though, is it a threat to the entertainment industry, this free software, free P2P file swapping?
There's got to be some way around it, otherwise it's all going to disappear, and watch things like watching television online similarly.
Yeah.
Where the
you do live
advertising
shows.
comes from and all that kind of stuff.
Live
shows. Jacques Attali's doing a book tour, right? You're going to be doing stadiums next year? Full stadiums?
You're right to say that.
This year?
You're right to say that. Artists make much more money today and in the future by concerts, but by saying disc. Actually, we will see people going and pay a ticket for a concert, and leaving the concert hall will have for free the DVD of a concert they have attended.
Right.
That's what is happening. And I think it will happen also for book writers. We will give books for free, and we will give lectures and be paid for that.
In a stadium? Are you going to be in a stadium someday with 60,000 of Jacques Attali's fans? Jacques!
I did that for 5,000 already.
5,000?
Yes.
T-shirts. Also,
Oh, my goodness
you want to
gracious.
think about T-shirts.
All right, well, this sounds like a juicy one, Sweet Pea.
I think this is ready for a perfect prediction.
Let us vote. Finally, the final Oracle prediction of the show. I feel it coming. And the Oracle predicts that Guy Hands will not make any money on his EMI deal. Neither will the U.S. taxpayer who bought it via the Citibank bailout.
That's the most probable outcome.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Max Keiser. A special thanks to my guests, Jacques Attali, Carrie Quinlan. Until next week, remember, there's always the future.